Friends have become frenemies, employees, enemies, some law enforcement lawless, some African American males cop killers, division, separation, dissolution, disintegration, anger, wrath, revenge, retaliation, bifurcation of this one nation under God, indivisible. But we are these United States. What will lead us back to peace? Righteous anger can bring righteous results. There are times when circumstances provoke a righteous anger, eliciting such raw, primal human response which reflexively compels immediate catalytic action to evoke material change in policy, procedure, or law, or at a minimum self-preservation. We see this, for example, in the book of John, with Jesus whipping the money changers in the temple, or situations such as Africans taken from their homeland to endure slavery, millions of Jews dead under the throes of Nazi Germany, scores of people still suffering from the attacks of 9/11, hundreds of families squashed at the hands of gunmen in schools such as Columbine and Sandy Hook, insidious and sustained atrocities, righteous anger to abrupt or prolonged injustice. But where substantial disparity of bargaining power, administration of justice, or even the ability to access the remedy of justice to cure the default injustice exists, that is, where the oppressed party's remedy is to go to or through the actual oppressor to seek relief from the oppression, to the detrimental point of extinguishment of his very life, in the process of trying to pursue life, liberty, and happiness, to find corroboration of that self-evidence of all men being created equal, perpetual injustice will provoke righteous anger. Because justice delayed is justice denied for all. But then, when bifurcation from seeking justice leads to administering vengeance, nobody attains a righteous result. Not the seeker, the oppressor, the supporters, or the enforcers. Righteous anger must produce righteous actions to obtain righteous results. This is the difference between reconciliation and revolution. One draws together through peace, while the other draws together through death and destruction. Sometimes revolution is necessary, but now must we bring that into this? Can we not heal this wound without enlarging it? Together in 2015. Now we are beginning to see the severing of relationships. Previously, protesters of all races were coming together across this great nation against the unfettered excessive force and unmitigated brutality meted out by some police upon unarmed black citizens. This was becoming highly effective. Local, state, and federal law enforcement and politicians were being forced to sit up, take notice, and address policy because the United States was saying enough is enough. Black lives do matter. People were beginning to understand why African American mothers sitting their sons outside the door are more afraid of them being stopped by a police officer for even a minor civil infraction than walking through a gang-infested neighborhood. You see, the thought process is the gang might kill him and they might get away with it, but the police will kill him and they will get away with it. After all, how do you fight the killer with the law when the law is perceived as the killer? Now, I know this makes some uncomfortable, but stay with me. We have to deal with the elephant in the room. Recently, a male family member, retired military, never been arrested, from a whole family of veterans, made the comment that he is utterly afraid to be pulled over by a police officer. After all of these years of protecting and serving his country, his biggest fear is now within the country, from those who are sworn to protect and serve. A son goes to the store to buy Skittles, dead. A youth in a boot camp in Florida, dead. Selling cigarettes, not guns or drugs, dead. Handcuffed in the back of a police car after having been searched, and still dead from an alleged self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head while in handcuffs. These are only the stories you hear about. But wait, what about black on black crime, you say? I reply, what about it? Within the context of law enforcement killing black males, it's comparing apples and oranges. You see, if Bubba shoots Pookie on the street, he will be charged, indicted, tried if he doesn't plead, and go to prison. But when the police shoot Pookie, the police process the crime scene. The police draft the police report. The police investigate their own crime. And the same DA, who works with the same police on arrest every day, has to decide and prepare to bring those same police to indictment and decide the evidence to present. And police internal affairs investigates complaints against police. Well, you get the picture. But what about the fact that a non-partial jury decides the indictment, you say, based on the unchallenged evidence put before them? Exactly. Don't go now. I'm just divulging perspective. There is no blame of one particular group. It's just that this system is not the best for producing credible results. But we still have to move on together. But wait, what about resisting arrest, you say? The police are giving their lives every day and have to protect themselves. I totally agree. Generally, the police make this world a safer place, and I honor them for that. But resisting arrest in and of itself is not a capital crime and should not end with the capital result of death on the street, because all races have those who resist. But why is it that our sons are the ones being executed? If I was a coach at your child's middle school and was called into the gym because of some type of perceived danger, is it okay for me to just arrive and injure your adolescent child within seconds of arrival? I mean, there was a report of danger. If I was a principal and observed your son selling cigarettes at the school and instructed him to put the cigarettes down, is it okay for me to choke him to death if he didn't do it? I mean, after all, he was resisting my lawful authority. Protesters are not protesting arrest or the use of lawful authority. They're protesting the excessive use of force and sometimes deadly force, wherein too many of our sons don't even make it to arraignment. Righteous anger. But wait, what about black criminality? The alleged inherent propensity for crime, you see. The widely accepted declarations that more blacks are in prison than any population, that black males are more likely to be dead, drug dealers, or in prison than attend college. It's okay to be frank. I'm not upset by real discussion, because the elephant in the room of our nation is extremely large. Well, according to the Federal Bureau of Prisons, last updated October 25th, 2014, the percentage of the black inmate population is 37.4%, raw number of 79,835. But the percentage of the white inmate population is 59.2%, raw number 126,325. We need to start debunking some of these myths. There are over 75 HBCUs across this nation, historically black colleges and universities with black males excelling in academia. They are in addition to the black males you see on your television every weekend in the SEC, Pac-10, NCAA, Atlantic Coast, West Coast, and all of these conferences, but they are still referred to as thugs, hoodlums, destined for death or prison, basically having to wear their titles and credentials on their sleeves to rebut the stereotypical unqualified reaction to their very presence. But, you say, blacks only make up a small percentage of the population and still have a higher percentage of crime. Well, according to the U.S. Bureau of the Census Population Estimates Program, updated annually, the white population accounts for 77.7%, and the black or African American population accounts for 13.2%. So if I have 10 apples and 5 are rotten, that equates to 50%. But if I have 100 oranges and 20 are rotten, that only equates to 20%. So by always listening to and regurgitating statistics, it doesn't present the true picture of what is occurring. We have to address this. because we must bring reconciliation within our nation for African Americans and the police. Because all police are not racist, any more than all African Americans are thugs. All black males walking into a store are not criminals, any more than all white males walking into a school are mass murderers. A black male killing white officers unjustly should no more make them a hero than a white officer killing black males unjustly should make him above the law. An officer putting on a uniform no more makes him an impartial enforcer of the law without racial bias than the priests who were putting on cleric robes but still molesting altar boys. The uniform only defines the character which should be projected, but the man who wears it determines how the power will be used. A mother losing a son, a wife losing a husband, children losing a father, no matter what their race may be. Those are unrighteous actions. And we cannot allow righteous anger to become lost inside of unrighteous actions, because then the true issues will become overshadowed. So in closing, where do we go from here? How many sons must die? Are the actions of some to be imputed to all, whether it's officers or civilians? When did this horrific loss of life suffered by all of these families become an eye for an eye, to the point that instead of resolving the issue, it has now escalated to open season on everyone's sons? Who will win? Is death a worthy prize? What will lead us to peace, and who will follow? We've identified that the anger is righteous, but lawful action is needed. It is time to get back on track with those who are trying to lead lawful means of making change, not win the battle, but lose the war by alienating people of all races who were actively and openly supporting change. The application of police force must become commensurate with the situation. You cannot excusably explain the application of deadly force to unarmed black males while justifying capturing a live, armed and dangerous white alleged cop killer, Eric Friend, who ambushed 2 state troopers, killing one and leading police on a manhunt for over 6 weeks. We must stop posting threats to law enforcement via social media, vicariously admitting guilt and burdening your due process when true injustice actually occurs. We must require ability and accountability on all sides, including investigations of law enforcement. Obey the law. Continue to stand together as a nation unabashedly against police brutality and excessive force, because the slippery slope of doing nothing looms too high. And we must realize that every person of the opposite race is not an enemy, and proceed accordingly. Increasing inmate and graveyard populations for any race is not desirable, because a nation divided cannot succeed, but only regress to a mentality which allowed a man like Hitler to breed. We must choose to rise from the ashes, allowing our humanity to become the common denominator which unites us, collectively asserting that no excessive force or taking of anyone's life based on race is acceptable. Then nothing becomes impossible for us to achieve together in these United States, because our righteous anger coupled with righteous action will produce righteous results.